about a person, perhaps a digital twin where you have all the information about how the person's heart, lungs, livers work. You can know what's going to happen to them. There are some ideas around that. That has an impact on insurance. That has an impact on social connects. It has an impact on your employment. Somebody can look up your CV and find the data. Say, like, I don't think you're going to be around for the next 3 years, so I'm not giving you a job, right? So it sounds facetious, but it can have very serious implications. It's exciting, yes. But again, how do we prepare for this? What are the guardrails that we need for it?
Direct brain-computer interfaces, replacing organic hands with bionic hands, adding to the body a second immune system, which is not organic, but an inorganic immune system made up of millions of tiny nanorobots inside your body.
We will connect wirelessly our neocortex to the cloud.
This is with nanobots that enter your neocortex.
Right.
This is your prediction. For when? When is that? Just right now.
Well, June 2033.
Yeah. June 12th, 8:35 in the morning.
So we have 300 million modules in our neocortex, each of which can recognize a pattern. They're organized in this hierarchy. We create that hierarchy with our own thinking. But it's 300 million. So is that a big number or a little? Well, it was big enough for us to invent language and physics. But it's also limited when you realize how long it takes to read a book or learn a language. We will be able to expand that, and that expansion will not be a one-shot deal. It'll be connected to the cloud. The cloud is pure information technology. One of my themes is that information technology grows exponentially. It roughly doubles in power every year. That's what the cloud is doing. The cloud is twice as powerful every year, and when we can connect and expand our neocortex in the cloud, it will expand without limit. And so we'll be funnier, and we'll be sexier, and it'll be harder for you to win this prize again.
So just to clarify what I think you just said, that in 20 years, plus or minus, so the mid-2030s, we will have nanobots that we can feed into our brain that directly connect to the cloud rather than through anything we carry in our pocket. And in that way, wirelessly, we can basically download entire books, entire languages, and we will then know these things just by the act of downloading them.
Well, that's one implication.
Into our brains.
But we'll have more neocortex. So we won't be limited to a mere 300 million pattern modules. We'll have billions or 10 billion.
What, biologically, or just simply because we have these nanobots?
We'll have this extension that's non-biological.
Non-biological, right. So
I mean, this would be pretty useless if it didn't have an extension. I mean, when you access all of Google.
Yeah, it would just be a gaming device otherwise, right.
You can access all of knowledge and.
No, I got that. So isn't this like the scene in The Matrix where they sit in the chair and they upload? One of my favorite lines of the film is Keanu Reeves. They teach him martial arts, and he says, "I know kung fu." And you mean I'm gonna know, or jujitsu, whatever. So in 20 seconds, he's now an expert. Are you telling me that's what's going to happen?
The non-biological portion of our thinking will be able to download skills, right?
Wow.
And it does that now. I mean, you load some software in your computer. It didn't. For example, speech recognition, which I worked on, we had to spend months teaching a computer how to understand human speech. But now you want to do that on your notebook computer, you just download the software. It can download skills that another computer learned. So that's a feature of non-biological intelligence.
It's going to resolve it. And I'll give you a few examples to illustrate that. Today, when you do big data, you have a lot of data, and you try to build population-level models. You always have biases, and you have, when you use AI. But from my perspective, what AI can really do, is be able to provide personalized care to patients. I'll give you an example on one of the major problems in the US. Let's take heart failure. 1 in 4 patients come back and get readmitted, within 30 days after discharge. Less than 1% of patients with heart failure in the US, as well as worldwide, are on optimal dosage. And that accounts to 60% of the reason why patients come and get, hospitalized.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And guys, this video is about the mad scientists, because that's what we're getting into. Remember, your life is an illusion and TV is your reality. And we know the NWO wants to set up the machine takeover. And guys, remember, this technology can be used for good or evil. But whose hand is it? We know it's in evil hands. And we definitely don't want them to have the ability to know every single thing that's going on in our body. And just imagine someone hacking that information and what they'll be able to do with it. Now, there's nothing wrong with you receiving care at home. Remember, guys, doctors used to come straight to people's homes in the first place back in the day, even before the technology. And it was a whole lot better. But anytime you have the machine that really doesn't know exactly what's going on, it's just going from data. And we know everybody's body is different. Even if it's only a 5, 10, 15% difference, that could cause the death of a lot of people. And I did a video in Patreon on this very subject, because we have the same people telling you there's too many people on the planet, but then at the same time want to extend your life. Guys, that is contradiction. Please use your common sense. And guys, if you go into a hospital and you're getting experimental surgery, they make you sign a consent form. And that's what they're going to do with the machine takeover, so therefore they're not held liable. And we see the climate agenda. So guys, you may not receive a job because you eat meat, or you don't have nanobots controlling the insides of you to make sure you don't get sick. Remember, once they build the fourth industrial revolution, transhumanism is coming. The merge of humanity along with the machines. But they got to bring the machines first and then make you jealous of the machines, so therefore you want to become one. And remember, guys, your life is an illusion, and TV is your reality. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows. When it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
$160 billion wasted every year. So the question was, when we started building and tackling heart failure 5 years ago, we said, okay, there are all these problems. There are two ways we are going to solve it. First, can we predict heart failure exacerbation ahead of time so that clinicians can intervene early so we reduce these rehospitalization? And second is there a way, once we detect, because we don't want to just stop there, we wanted to go a step further and say, can AI accurately identify the right precise dosing for the patient so that we can get the right dose to the right patients at the right time, eventually improving cost or reducing cost? So we proved that in a number of clinical trials. Today we manage almost half of the entire heart failure population. And what AI could really do is capture continuous biomarkers from patients passively in the comfort of their home, use all of that to detect or predict clinical exacerbation, and we were able to precisely dose. The biggest challenge for us was when we went to the FDA and regulators. There was a big question around, okay, this has never been done before. How can AI automatically dose a patient? Every patient with heart failure, 90% of them, in fact, have multiple comorbid conditions. So imagine the complexity in terms of accurately dosing. Of course, it was, it took a lot of convincing, a lot of clinical trials. And this was the first time FDA, after we ran the trial, granted first ever breakthrough designation for a software and an AI which can accurately, solve the problem.
What level of accuracy are we talking about?
Yeah, so specifically, if you look at early detection of heart failure, around 90 to 93% accuracy.
But for the dosage, I'm worried about the dosage.
Dosage, the way we reduced that issue, or we sought out that, was we always had, when there was a level of accuracy issue and we felt that a clinical oversight is needed, we had a clinical oversight.
Okay, so you still need the humans, right?
We needed the humans 5% of the times.
Oh gosh. Okay.
We needed the humans.
We will not talk about the 95%, but let's take some questions from.
No, but I'll
The artificial intelligence is doing the clinical trials. It's figuring out what's right and wrong with us, and it also means that scientists and researchers are very worried. Is that true?
Yeah, so I think there's always both sides to the coin. If you look at the advancements, what are happening in the industry today, specifically, the pandemic really accelerated two big trends which happen worldwide today. One is, how do we deliver care? And these are complex care, acute care in the home, post-acute care in the home, and bring that hospital into patients' home. And that trend we have seen significantly advance over the past
5 years' time, let's say. How prevalent will this technology be in medicine and healthcare?
I mean, one discussion is, will there be a hospital? Yeah. And I mean, it's a bit of a provocative statement, but to some extent, the hospital is defined as the patient needs to go somewhere to get the treatment because there are the specialists who do the stuff. Yeah. So the question is, what do the technologies we talk about mean for this? Yeah. Can you get surgery from somebody? I mean, not at home, okay, but who is not at exactly this hospital, or can emergency cases be treated like this? And I think this will start. There will be centers in the time frame you mentioned where this becomes routine. Yeah? And I think otherwise, it is use case by use case. We will have universities where medical education is completely done virtually instead of cutting human bodies. Yeah? And we will have care teams working virtually working in the medical metaverse, if you wish, yeah, on cases, because the topic of collaboration, yeah, is super essential in medicine. Yeah, so there's an entity called the tumor board. Yeah, there's where all the people, the surgeon, the radiologist, and so on, come together to decide what is happening, what should we do with this patient. Yeah, so the multidisciplinary nature is extremely important in medicine. Yeah, but that is also a big opportunity for metaverse type applications. How do you bring these people together without having necessarily to be in the same hospital?
It's fascinating. I'm going to give the audience
excitement, but there's anxiety. When we look at issues of digital twin, personalized medicine, we look at issues of data of our human bodies floating somewhere in the metaverse, perhaps. How do we prepare for these changes where we should be looking for a better life, but a lot of people want a longer life? How is that playing out?
It's a good question. Hi, everybody. I'm glad that you're here with us this morning. I am an ethicist and a futurist, and what I really focus on is how we ought to think about emerging technologies, how they impact our lives, what some of the risks are, and really how do we maximize the benefits of technologies for humanity. And one of them that I've been focusing on a lot recently because of, I think, this extraordinary intersection between advances in artificial intelligence and machine learning, advances in nanotechnology and engineering, has been the developments in neurotechnology. And I think the promises in neurotechnology are extraordinary for everything from really addressing some of the root causes of human suffering, from neurological disease and degeneration to mental illness, but of also unlocking a lot of the secrets of the human brain. Part of what I think is really exciting in that space is the coming age of wearable neurotechnology. So rather than implanted neurotechnology, neural interface, as sensors become much smaller, as they become much more integrated into multifunctional devices. So if you can have an EEG sensor in each ear as part of your ear pods, where you also take conference calls and you also listen to music, but you have brainwave activity that is being monitored all day, every day. Do we suddenly have Fitbits for the brain that enable us to be able to track brain health in ways that we haven't been able to over time? People are very used to quantifying their own different areas. You go in, you get a cholesterol test, you have a blood test. People use now watches that have ECG sensors that track their heart rate. They're very familiar with their heart health. But there's very little, up until now, understanding of the human brain or self-reflection on it. And I think that that will be extraordinary, also a little bit terrifying, because as we realize that we can track and decode a lot of what's happening in the human brain, it opens up significant ethical risks of who is using the data, how.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go, but clearly we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort. And China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of operation of central bank digital currency. You know, for China, it's not just about developing its own ECNY. It's also about dominating the underlying CBDC technology in the same way they've done with 5G technology, so they can be a major exporter of CBDC infrastructure to countries around the world that desire to have their own central bank digital currency, but don't have the wherewithal to build the core technology from scratch. And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
Most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID 33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.